actually having spent time to sleep. What you didn't get to see is me going back and forth between, because originally it was going to be Twilight Princess. By the time this recording is done, I would have already streamed the first bit of it. But holy shit, indecisiveness and horrible decisions to get this first part aside. And now that I actually have a clear mind, I can actually do a goddamn intro. Because, yeah, no, I'm still trying to get used to it. Because whatever settings I had, prior to me switching over to OS, not here. I'm still getting used to it. That being said, like, since we're doing it is a trainer hack, so of course there's no changes. I would mention the sprites, but this is even the first time I've done a Moemon hack. And I could mention once again, I normally don't gravitate towards those type of hackers, like, it, at least in the back of my mind back then, it seemed like questionable, like, why would I do this? And then I realized how fucking stupid that sounded. So here we are again. This also isn't the first time I've tried to play a DS hack either. Many of you might have actually remembered, and I doubt it. I tried to do a playthrough of Storm Silver. Didn't get very far, nor was I able to continue. Somewhere down the line, the save file got lost, and I basically cut my losses and stopped altogether. Am I gonna go back to it? Probably not. Not unless I... Well, I probably could, but it's probably gonna make some changes so it's more in line with Renegade Platinum. Because the patch I have for Storm Silver has the fairy type, but none of the moves to compensate. Whereas here they actually do have most of them. Granted, it doesn't have any of the moves from current gen, besides those fairy type moves. Granted, there's a few of them, but like not all of them. Because you know what I'm used to after playing games like after playing Grand Coliseum, XD, Director's Cut, and fucking XG Next Gen? Some of the modern moves that we tend to still see nowadays. Your high horsepower, your rage powder, your fucking pixelate abilities and stuff like that. That's not really here. This is just Gen 4, straight up. What's the matter stuff? Ah yes, let me copy and paste that real quick. I mean, I get it, you're supposed to type it into it, but who the hell's gonna check that PC? Unless they're really trying to check for for differences. Which will probably be in the documentation anyway. You tell me I didn't have to go through an hour and a half just to get the most basic form of movement of quality of life? Then again, if we go to the options, we're at a point in time where having shift and set be in the fucking being in the options. Or God forbid the experience share. Which you've probably heard to death at this point. Not being able to turn it off. But since we are talking about like differences and stuff that was removed, let's talk about BDSP. you're definitely not gonna be. Actually, no, it's like the one time we do see you before the battle tower, so whatever. It's not normally there. Yeah, BDSP. I mentioned very, very briefly, and even then it's probably in the description, that I needed a palate cleanser from playing the Gen 4 remakes. The fucking faithful remake bullshit. Why is that? Because instead of having at least some of the changes from Pokemon Platinum, God forbid we had better remakes before that. You want to tell me how Fire Red and Leaf Green were? You want to tell me what Hard Gold and Soul Silver that still ended up being one of the better remakes that we've had? You want to tell me how Oras was? And not having the Battle Frontier? I'm sorry, you get the Battle Mason. Fuck off. And unlike Moemon Star Emerald, I do intend to do the Battle Frontier here. Yeah, the contest is like, what the fuck did they do to that? The one change I did, actually no, besides the post game, but like, again, you're holding off until then to do all the cool shit. Like, the one thing I did actually enjoy was, what to do with the underground. But then again, it kind of just seems like a band-aid to the otherwise ridiculous flaw that is the Gen 4 Pokédex before Platinum. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but there were like 2 fire types that you could get. Chimchar was one of them, the other was Rapidash. And one of the Elite Four members was supposed to specialize in fire types. Yet what did he have in Diamond and Pearl? Just Infernape and just Rapidash. It's fucking ridiculous. It's fucking stupid. That's another thing. They barely even fixed the Pokédex, if I remember correctly. All they did was, like, what? Made it a bit easier to find Munchlax, and, like, a few other things, finding Magmar. But, like, it's still Diamond and Pearl. You still have to deal with the bullshit between Gyms 3 and 5. God forbid we have the same progression as Platinum, where it actually made a lot more sense. No. Let's stick with this. I haven't even mentioned, like, the rival here, right? No! No! I'll get to the rival in a second. What the fuck? Okay. So, I was gonna mention the rival. I'm used to being known as Barry. Turns out when I was looking through, like, DSPRE, turns out his actual default name is Centric. That's why I put him in there. But, like, yeah. Even though I didn't intend to use a fucking Piplup, I still ended up getting a shiny, which, if I remember correctly, from, like, the changes that was made, is 1 in 257 in this. I was like, okay, it was just gonna restart. Because I previously had a different recording for this. I was like, that didn't sound right. Let me try this again. I was not expecting this in the fucking slightest. But yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is the first time I've ever started a playthrough and gotten a shiny starter. Because I never soft reset for any of them. It's like, okay, I'll just soft reset for the nature and then be a hard one. Excuse me. Nope. I do hope, however, if I do intend to get a shiny, it's gonna be something different, because I love shiny and polo. I do. But I don't intend on using one for this playthrough. And now looking at it, I'm wondering if I probably should anyway. Because again, I fucking love Empoleon. Like the only water steel type to this day that we have. It is actually, and while it might not be as good as other typings as of today that we've gotten, And it's going to be one of my favorite dual typings with water. I have to say, no way, right? God damn it. I was gonna mention this at a later point as well with the abilities, but yeah, some of them, actually a few of them even have just outright different abilities, but some will have their hidden abilities. Quagsire will have Unaware, well, it's not like Wigglytuff having Magic Guard. Alakazam has Magic Guard. The evolutions don't. Did I already mention the speed hack that the documentation mentioned? I probably haven't. There's a speed hack for text and there's a speed hack for HP. You already seen the text for that, but for HP, you're not gonna notice it until a little bit later. And I do mean like levels 18 and onward. Though a bit of a funny side effect is that with the speed hack for like the text, that sadly means that stuff like the level up, like certain jingles will just straight up not play. And I'll probably mention this as well since it's also currently daytime, but an actual visible day and night cycle. And music differences to kind of correlate with them as well. Sadly, when I first got Pokemon Diamond, most of my free time playing it was during like the afternoon and evening, so I barely got to actually experience the daytime songs. You know what? While we may not be using Piplup, yes. That being like, it says reminds me of the Pokedex. It straight up comes with the National Dex. And while I normally wouldn't bother completing it, there's actually an incentive to mostly complete it. And while you may not be seeing like on-screen captures, because who the hell hasn't seen capturing at this point? And there's something of interest I'll most likely show it, whether it be teammates or fixed encounters. And there's plenty of them in this. And we don't have to wait until post-game for the radar either. Yep. I swear to God, it's like, you think after playing so many of these games, like, I should be used to the quality of life. But you'd be surprised how little, at least for Pokemon standards, how little of them actually give you that sort of quality of life. There's like, okay, here you go, you already know how Pokemon works, off on your way. And I might as well mention this. Since it is incentivizing you to catch stuff, like at least for like the three main ones, the Pokeballs are much cheaper. I probably should mention the moves, but like, we're barely getting into this. I already mentioned like the Fairy type moves, those are in it, but like Wild Charges replacing Volt Tackle. Some moves even got buffs. Buffs for like Cut and Rock Climb. So you actually have a reason to use them. Even Fly got buffed to be like 100 base power. Still 2-turn move, but you can use it. And now comes the time where I start the soft reset for the EV. Oh, here's something you probably haven't missed. Saving a lot of time. All I did was play for 14 minutes. I didn't even go to PC to trigger this. Because whether starting a new game, or going into the PC, or doing anything with Wi-Fi, which probably not going to be able to show off, because we ain't got Wi-Fi in here. Yeah, I do it in this office at Eevee. I do ask that you be just a little bit patient. I say that as I'm probably going to cut this out. It's just this off reset for the button. Yes, I am. Okay. Give me a sec. Okay. Oh, right, because I did go into PC. God, this might as well be a loading screen, how long this takes. I would say thank God for quick saves, but I rarely use quick saves in Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet for the short duration I did. Because I didn't trust quick saves. Not at all. And she heals you anyway. God damn it. That bit I did forget. Because instead of doing a tutorial, you just straight up fight Bob. Oh no. Anyway. I say as Eevee's probably not gonna do too well. Especially if she gets burned. Yeah, that's what I definitely did miss. What's that? You're playing RPG? Have you heard of a thing? You might have heard of it. It's called a Let's Play quiz, even though I don't typically call these Let's Plays. Or in this case, it's an RNG fucking shit show. Anything bad that can happen will eventually happen to you. Meanwhile, if you want the same thing to happen to you, it barely happens at all. And I do mean fucking barely. You don't even get anything for it. It's just there. Fucking 30 of these things, by the way. Like I said, I'm not gonna be showing any of them on screen unless they're of interest or they're like a team member. And I'm back. A bit of a reset since it fucking crashed. Unfortunately, that meant that Purple didn't get to level up, which not that big a video without using it. But the next teammate that we're gonna have, it's probably not gonna be until at least before the first gym. Like, the way I have my teammates sprouted out is all over the goddamn place. I will mention this though. Like I mentioned, like the sprites for, like the Moemon sprites. Like before I was actually starting the recording for, at least for Renegade Platinum, they had actually put out like updated like sprites for the DS titles, and well, so a lot of them like Beauty actually have sprites I actually prefer. Which is why I'm using like the updated sprites for this playthrough anyway. There are a few that I'm like, I'm not sure I like this more than the other one. Granted, there are some updated sprites that I have yet to actually see in any of these ones. Mainly from like a database that has all of them. Because there are some of them, like for Hariyama, that I like that aren't in here. Or for something that will install emerald like Pelipper, Wingo and Pelipper. That one I actually really liked a bit. It's supposed to be a big bird. This doesn't look like the big bird here. If you know, you know. Should I mention the changes for Pokemon? Probably not, since I'll probably take forever in a day. And I wish I had something like what XG Director's Cut had, like an entire spreadsheet that showed up every single change that each Pokemon had. Kinda wish I could do that, but like, all of it is just in a text document. And trying to show that off while showing off gameplay here, at least the way I have set up now, is a fucking mess. I'll probably do that next part, like make like a spreadsheet, or at least partially a spreadsheet of everything that's changed. Because while I could just tell you, I'm a visual well, more hybrid nowadays, but I'm primarily visual. I'd much rather show people rather than just tell them. And I'd rather be shown what's different rather than just being told. Even something as much as reading it, I would much prefer that over, but generally what's over audio. It's generally how I tend to learn things. Because you give me a fucking textbook, there's only so much information I can retain without being able to practice it or learning through it visually. But learning aside, I'm not even sure if I'm going to mention who's going to be on the team, because we already have an Eevee. A jolly Eevee at that. Take that what you will for what evolution we're going to be using. God knows there's only like 2 physical attacking evolutions. That's kind of funny though, that of the 2 physical attacking evolutions, granted, all of them have seen changes, right? But especially for like 2 of them, like Flareon and Leafeon. Hell, even Glaceon has seen like actual changes, like, oh, you're actually incentivized to use them now, as opposed to just maybe considering them, maybe not. You know, first generation having that physical special split. You know what Flareon could have benefited from? Actual physical stab. That isn't Fire Fang. Granted, it had more problems than having Flare Blitz. Because even if it had Flare Blitz, what's it gonna do with it with its 65 speed? Out here though, they bumped that up. Again, I'll probably find a better way to show this, but like, they bumped up the speed to actually be like a 95. So you can actually have it be a physical attacker, and its special defense got moved to its HP. So while it's technically frailer, minus the HP difference, it's also faster, since it's not going to be using that 95 special attack. But since we're talking about moves, you know what moves I'm used to having as well? Volt Switch. And while I may not be used to having Flip Turn, or even the buff Teleport, I'm too used to having certain moves. It's like, I'm more shocked that they were all in Gen 5. A lot of the stuff that I'm used to has been Gen 5 and onwards. Granted, I fucking love Gen 5. But man, made me realize how much I actually miss during like the DS era. And at first recorded will come into play pretty much never. Besides the Battle Frontier, but like, even that is like, even that was something even found myself using. Because Gen 6 was when I really got my toes into competitive Pokemon. But I barely had an opportunity to play all that much. And since we're actually on starters, these two. 3 of them, and each of them have like their respective starters. All 3 of them, well, technically 3, but 2 of them you actually have trivia. The one for the Johto starters is like, yeah, no, fuck this. Let's just get to the point. And now to embarrass myself. No, fighting is like the worst type in Gen 1. No, that's a different oak. That's kind of hilarious. We'll get to the whole one when we get to it, but like... Because there's an NPC in Movie 7 that was like, where are you from? You just have yes and no. Yes? I've never heard of a place like that. Oh my god. Like, even tiny stuff like that, I would have appreciated for like, even stuff like Easter eggs and shit. But like, the most we get is like Kitakami being like, oh, it's very close to Unova, even though we don't even go inside of Unova itself. God forbid they actually have the assets for Castelia Town. Not Castelia. The big fucking city that has the bug type gym. Shit, we don't even have like more than just Lumiose City in Legends ZA. It's just one big city that takes like a few minutes to walk around. It's like a massive downgrade from even Legends Arceus. I'm just making myself sad. Even though I'm not going to be using the candle starters, even though I really want to, for what I'm building. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, sorry. Don't pay any attention that it has chlorophyll, since we're using the complete patch of Renegade Platinum. Its ability when it becomes Venusaur is stick fat, much like its Mega. Oh, is that gonna show it here? Yeah, because it actually has solar power. But once it becomes Charizard, A, it's a fire dragon, and B, it gets levitate. Yeah, there's rain dish. But when it becomes Blastoise, it gets drizzle. So it's not just Politoed and Pelipper that have drizzle. Now it's Blastoise. And it still has fucking spell. Take with that what you will. A water spouting Blastoise with drizzle. Oh yeah, hidden power. Do I have any more Pokemon that's gonna have hidden power? I probably should have checked that first, shouldn't I? You know what? I'm gonna check that right now, because I don't think I do. No! Sorry, ma'am. As much as I would much prefer it, especially given how EVs work in this. This person gives you an egg. Thanks, my skin. And there's like a list of Pokemon I can hatch from this egg. But of the eggs, there's Pichu, Cleffa, Igglybuff, Togepi, even though we still get a Togepi egg, Tyrogue, Smoochum, Elekid, Magby, Azuro, Wynot, Budu, Chingling, Bonsly, Mime Jr., Happiny, Munchlax, which is what I would like to have, but they actually made it easy to get Munchlax, so maybe not. Riolu and Mantike. Take a guess who we're going after first. Oh, but first. Fucking Poseo. And a town map I hope I never have to use because we have a touchscreen. We can actually just view. We have our own Pokemap on the Pokétch. Matter of fact, here. You have the fucking thing. Alright, now to remember where the fuck the map is in this. Wait, no. Found it. Yep, there's the map. Yeah, we don't even need the fucking map in the inventory. We have one here. I'll probably pop up, like, what it looks like. But yeah. Oh, and another thing. Because, like, how they made changes to the eggs for this hack, you don't even need a Pokemon with Flame Body. Just walk around a few steps and you can hatch the egg. That being said, I'm still gonna get the egg and try to get to the one that I'm after. Gotta talk to it first. Yeah, the fucking daycare still here. Special one is an egg. And it's a free egg too. Alright. I'm not joking either. With a bit of time. Anytime, princess. That would be great. It's that easy. It just takes a very short amount of time compared to the numerous fucking steps you have to take. It is not happening. Like I said, one of the Pokemon you get. Fucking finally. Dude. The thing that kind of makes it even more hilarious. I have gotten more Munchlax access from this than I have from any other group from this group. I've gotten Elect Kids, I've gotten a few Smoochums, I've gotten I've gotten one Togepi. Again, we still gonna get the Togepi egg from Cynthia, but like, that's kind of hilarious. Alright. I've been nicknamed fucking Lucario this a long time. But it's also the most fitting. Okay. Part of me wants to check for the nature. I'll do that off screen, but you'd be shocked if I told you it took very long. Thankfully, it was like the third Riolu that I ended up hatching. It was timid. That's what I was going for. Now, it probably should mention, like, oh no, you actually prefer physical attacking because it gets close combat and extreme speed. Given what given what I prefer, I generally prefer special Lucario over physical. Yes, even after the nerf to Aurasphere and such. Why? Because Lucario, in this hack anyway, gets his Mega Evolution's ability, Adaptability. And while that would mean increased stab on things like Meteor Mash and Close Combat, that also means boosted stab on Aurasphere and Flash Cannon. And considering that I'd rather have something with mixed offenses, I would prefer special since fucking burns and intimidates have been something I much prefer not having to deal with. That's how I tend to do things anyway. But unfortunately, that also means that we're gonna have to raise poor Riolo over here. And by raising him, I mean getting him the fuck out. Poor little B's not gonna do much against it of late. Almost. No. Oh my gosh, I'm doing this. God forbid I get any crits. Hey, that's a move that used to be fucking removed. Hidden Power. A move that was pretty much essential for a lot of Pokemon that didn't have good coverage at all. I'm looking at you, Manectric. If not every single goddamn electric type. You know what's another move they removed? Pursuit. A very useful move to deal with ghost types. That during Gen 8 ran rampant. Because Pursuit wasn't in the game. Yeah, despite Gengar no longer getting levitated, it ran amok alongside fucking Dragapult. How the fuck did he square that as good? Oh, you see, we cut the decks for balancing issues. Proceeds to bring back Pokemon like Landorus Therian. For love of God, make it make sense. But since I'm mentioning Lucario, yeah, I actually could have gotten it in the cave that was right next to Jubilee City, or actual Oilbook City. But if I'm not mistaken, it actually gets higher happiness if it hatched from an egg. So I was going to do that instead. And considering it needs happiness to evolve into Lucario, I was going to do that instead. Oh yeah, we don't even have the XP share yet. We will very soon. Oh yeah, like, Stego's over there, but I'm realizing how much of an issue it's probably going to be, so I'm just going to get Starbuck off for now. If for no other reason than to make sure that Eevee isn't the only Pokemon doing anything. Bring up to 9. Peplop's now in the fucking in the PC. That being said, I still want to do at least a bit up, since by the time we come back here after the first gen, they're gonna be a bit under leveled compared to what we'll have. So I'll probably regular trainer battles from here on out. I'll probably just be the Pokemon that they have. then, I should also mention, unless I've already cut it out, that should the poison bring you down to 1 HP, it'll just go away on its own, but you still have to heal it. Isn't it just Answers of the Decay, which I want to say normally you would have to pick like Rock and Smash, but considering that only Surf and Waterfall are required, and technically Strength because of the distortion mode, you don't really need to use any of the HMs. You pretty much just treat them like regular moves now because of the buffs they give it. Which, thank goodness, because otherwise I would never find myself using it. Hell, I didn't even know they buffed Strength. It made it a 100 base power move and a 10% chance to increase your attack. Which, I mean, there's an incentive to use it now. I don't know if you want to use it over the turn, but it's there. The thing that I find the favorite is like when they did the cut to Vox on time, since I didn't really mention it. They made cut a 60 base power move 100% accurate and a grass type move. It was like, oh, so Brainloop now has a stab move that isn't Bullet Seed. Especially since it gets Technician in this. And Rock Climb is made into a 80 base power rock type move with 95 accuracy. It still confuses. It still has a chance to confuse, but hey, now rock types have a move that isn't Stone Age. You know, that 5 PP 80 accuracy move. That's more frustrating than not trying to get that fucking thing to land. Not as frustrating as Focus Blast, but it's still bad. Having something like that as your stab, yikes. No. I do not intend on using baton passing for this. Yeah, this. Now, it's been forever, but I could have sworn you needed Rock Smash. But since we no longer need it, since you don't need to use the gems, you know what? Since they made a lot of the competitive items you normally see in competitive a lot more accessible, we can actually start using those type of items. And if we can stop getting interrupted, that'll be great. There's Rock 2. I don't think... Yeah, this is what they did with the TMs. Since you technically can't make them infinite use, they made it so that you get 99 of them, and there's an NPC in the Pokemon League that restocks your every TM that you currently have. Probably should have done this earlier, since I do intend to use Hidden Power. I might be using Bite, am I? No. Oh, he does give it. No, because there is a fight. No, because Cedric starts out with Starly pretty much every time. But it's probably not going to be useful if I'm mainly going to be using it as a special attacker. So let's not. I thought it was actually bad. No, I'm just falling short at the time. Because I completely forgot they, on top of the changes to trainers and stuff, they also made it so that, at least for the rivals and the more important fights, they actually increased the DVs on each of them. So you're not just gonna be training them just to be a bit slightly over level and just swim through. You actually have to play the game. Imagine that, actually trying to play the game in a Pokemon game, but even the more recent entries are piss easy. Because go figure, try to make sure stuff is at least somewhat so that kids aren't completely frustrated with it. You'd think I'd learn that, or at least remember why they were so easy to begin with. So, I'm not putting on my special oh my gosh. Of course, the anime. Of course, the one time I actually. Because it was kind of looking like it wasn't going to be all that decent of an attempt. Okay. Now he will try. Oh. Right, because functions like. Why do I forget that? Because no one fucking uses Coca, that's why. If they were gonna use anything to take an item, it's Thief. Since it also affects ghost types that may have an item. You can take this, right? Kind of. I'm afraid the Oilberry will only do so much. That upset me. It shouldn't have, but it is, because trying to explain why it's actually harder, and then that happened. Hey, look at that! In the XP share, I can actually have some goddamn player choice with. The last time we had EXP share where you can actually do something with was Gen 7. They just made it automatic. And in case you forgot what their response was, it was like, well, how are you trying to like raise lower level party members? Oh, just put the rest of your team in the box. So you're inconveniencing the player just so they can make sure like the rest of the team is caught up. Oh no, I think I remember. Motherfucker. And we took an Oranberry from... Man. No worries, man. Like, we actually can get an Oranberry in Floaroma. I just forgot at the time because that Shroomish is like one piece of an entire fucking side quest involving me. Because you can actually catch Mew in this. Well, you should. You can get everything in the national base. Man. I wish I could smile or not, but like... That would have been such a perfect choice. It was like, oh, I got an Oranberry. Oh yeah, that's convenient, because we need it for this. Oh yeah, that's another thing I should probably mention. So you know how we, at this point, we're used to like electric types not getting paralyzed or affected by thunder wave, grass types not being affected by sleep powder or spore or any powder-based moves, or leech seed. Yeah, that's completely out there. That's not a thing yet as a Gen 4. So we can in fact use thunder wave on our electric types. We can use sleep powder or spore on the grass type. If we're ever at a point where we're gonna catch stuff. And they do. And yet, they have it so that the Steel type is no longer resistant to Ghost or Dark. And a bit of a funny consequence is that for the Dark types that are in Gen 4, like, it's made Umbreon even better, that's made Absol even better. And Payback, because of how it works in Gen 4, acting as a pseudo-pursuit, has made that even better. And just for the icing on the cake, because I was trying to look through this when I was going through the move changes, it doesn't even mention that Giga Drain or Knockoff had the moves buff, had the base power buff. And I think that's, and Knockoff was already pretty good for like the low distribution that it had. With the fucking Gen 6 onward buff. Like, yeah, no, that's, you did, motherfucker. I'm really trying not to, like, have anything that lowers the fucking friendship. Because it's fucking imperative for fucking real. Level 13, you're trying to learn Feint. And attempting it is to try to make something for doubles. That's not going to be relevant until I remotely attempt the battle, like the battle tower. Because at least in this one, you actually do get something besides getting ribbons for the single battles. We'll get to that. Getting there. I say that as if I can keep track of what his friendship is. And that's provided I don't fucking around it and actually ensures happiness keeps going up. However, let's go gambling. Even though I'm not going to be using Abra. Bye-bye. You see that, kids? That's the only reason teleport existed. Instead of it being a switch move with negative priority. And not just negative priority, like one of the lowest priority brackets in the game. I don't remember if it's as low as Trickroom or just a bit above Trickroom. I want to say just above. I do not remember for the life of me. But it's pretty down low. And if you're not playing competitive, you're not sure. Why would that matter? Take the brilliant example of the Slow Twins. Two water psychic type Pokemon that have been pretty damn good in competitive development. Gotten even better with Regenerator as of Generation 5. And with the combination of them being so slow and having Regenerator being bulky as they are, what do you think happens when you combine a slow Pokemon with Regenerator and Teleport? You get basically a riskless switching opportunity for whoever you're sending in. like, oh, I don't know. Let's go to fucking copy a fucking Slowpoke taking in even something as strong as a Dragapult's Shadow Ball. Just teleport, heals back pretty much most of the damage back, and brings in a Pokemon that's a pretty good switch in on Dragapult. Like, you think that's enough? And that's not even counting the other. That's not counting like Flip Turn, which was also introduced in Gen 8. Like, so many goddamn switch moves. And the thing that makes it even better is that if you're switching in a Pokemon with heavy duty boots, then you gotta deal with entry hazards. So you can have like a Slowbro or Slow King like use teleport, bring in something with heavy duty boots since it's the slowest fucker around. And they don't even have to deal with the entry hazards. Regardless if they have something with Rapid Span or Defog. It's... well, bonkers is an understatement. It's fucking insane. It's fantastic. You know, speaking on this on the generation that introduced Stealth Rocks. It's the end of it. But... holy shit. Like... well, speaking of something to bring up friendship, I just put on Skywalker. Oh no, I think I realized a bit of a predicament. Because for the evolution I want to use, I want to make sure I'm not anywhere above level 16. Because it actually learns a stab move then. Oh, speaking of buck moves, I forgot to mention Rock Smash. Again, 60 base power, so it gets a Technician boost. On top of that, like the defense decrease, I want to say, was it buffed? I don't think the defense increase was buffed. It was always like pretty damn high, but Technician boost and the defense increase actually makes it a fairly competitive move to use, unless you're using something with close combat. But it's actually, yeah, it's pretty much a decent move to use with Technician. Because hey, you ain't gotta deal with the bullshit, to deal with the drawbacks that close combat has, or superpower. Is it gonna be weaker than those? Yeah, after stab it's 180. Like there's no fucking context. But you at least have a more reliable move for stab if you're using Technician, as opposed to using close combat. And 3 times the PP. But again, take with that what you will. Whether or not that's actually worth it or not. There's also not to include things like Focus Punch. Or, again, superpower for Pokemon that have it. And that's with Stab. If you're not using it with Stab, that's still 90 base power with, on top of its secondary effects. Like, it's still, all things considered, it's still decent. Oh yeah, this is the fucking Orb game. You can actually go down to the basement, and again, no Rock Smash. You don't even really need to use Flash. You can just go down, use the bike, get whatever's there. I probably should have done that. You know what? I'll do it after this. Because apparently it seems to just keep forgetting, despite having played this numerous times. I have 10 repels, why not fucking use them? And a bicycle, I fucking forgot that as well. here. Yeah, there's Flash. Again, don't really need to use it. Let's try it again. Oh yeah, Brick Break. Too bad I'm not using it. Yeah, I remember when at least a few things would like at least use Brick Break, because that was kind of like a lot of things on Brick Break. It's almost you know, if only I had it happening. Because then, like Gen 4 is like power levels really brought up in power creep. You know, besides stealth, like which I mentioned. Like close combat, Stone Edge, Focus Blast, Draco Meteor, that's a big one. so many things that brought in like an influx of power creep. Yeah, this is not the Johto one. This is for the Hoenn stories. As much as I would love to use Swampert again, I would like to. Yeah, it's gonna be a starter, but it's not gonna be. It's for Alligator. I might as well mention it since the Johto ones are the last one to do. It's for Alligator. Yes. No. I actually don't remember what the second person is. I'm pretty sure no. Hey, where you from this question? Yes, never heard of a place like that. And the thing that makes it even funny is like, they probably thought it to be funny, or they probably didn't think it's like, oh yes, let's give them an option to pick where they're from. Nope. It's just yes or no. Really? You know how Blaziken got banned in Ubers for speed boost? That's what they gave this fucking chicken. Speed boost. Then again, I already mentioned that they gave the hidden abilities to a lot of Pokemon anyway. Speed boost even for like Gen 4 on a Blaziken. Also, I am missing much. Perceptile, they actually gave it its Mega's typing, but it doesn't have Lightning Rod. Not that it actually functions the way that it did in Gen 5 onwards. Imagine if it did though. That would actually make Lightning Rod and Storm Drain actually worth it. Granted, they're still fairly useful doubles, but like, look at the Pokemon that gets Storm Drain and Lightning Rod. Yeah, it's not as useful as it will be in future generations. Because they actually get an immunity, and they get a stat boost. Swampert is still stuck with damp. Granted, it's in a generation where you can actually still use Explosion. Like, this is a generation where Explosion was, and Self-Destruct was still good. That's at least understandable then, but like, why damp? Could have given it Swift Swim like its Mega Evolution? No. He's gonna be important later. And by later, I mean literally post-game we have to catch every fucking thing. It's gonna have what I think it's gonna have. Because they actually gave... But they actually gave it a second ability in Rockhead, since it still has Takedown. But... when it evolves into Metang and Metagross, it gets Iron Fist. And it has Zen Head, but Iron Head, Iron Defense. But like... yeah, Meteor Mash, that gets a boost. The 2 elemental punches that it learns, they get a boost. Bullet Punch gets a boost. It's not quite Tough Claws, but it's pretty damn close to it. Not quite. Not quite. Oh, yellow shows, that's funny. And, oh, that's even funnier. You ever know something about the move tutors in the movie learner? You don't even need the shards or the scales. They're completely free. You just need to talk to them with the appropriate Pokemon you want to learn from. And unfortunately, it also means that the shards and the heart scale are basically useless. Now, as for the mine itself, I do want to get a trap engine in here, but what's probably going to happen is I'm going to backtrack here anyway, mainly so that I'll be at a point where I can EV train and actually have a usable Flygon. Because right now it would just be stuck as a Trapinch, who while gets the bug typing and Flygon and Vivava becomes a bug dragon type, it's not going to be doing much at all because of Flygon. Can you guess what we're using as an evolution yet? You know, besides the Leaf Stone. It's Leafeon. And it's also why I wanted to make sure it wasn't above level 16. Because it gets Razor Leaf at level 16. And also it's an evolution that I rarely, if ever, used. That's why I didn't want to use Vaporeon, that's why I didn't want to use Jolteon even. Or Umbreon, which is one of my favorite evolutions. Because the only new move they gave Leafeon is Power Whip. Because it gets Leaf Blade, but it doesn't get any other of the... like, it doesn't get, like, one of the strongest grass-type moves you can have in the game. It's sad. Because it actually would have given it, like, a stab move that isn't stuck at 90 base power. And combine it with the buff to knockoff, which it actually does get in this gen. I should always got knockoff, but I don't remember it ever being useful for it. But yeah, the buff to knockoff, and it still gets like Psycho Mixes it. Yeah, this is a contender for a choice band user. When we get it, anyway. Which, at the very least, isn't too arduous a task yet. You actually get it before the technically fourth gym. It's labeled the third gym, but like the progression we're going is the fourth gym you would actually be doing. Oh yeah, Aaron's. I was actually, like, at least for the time, I was really juggling with what I want to actually use in the team. We're gonna have Lucario, we're gonna have Leafeon. Oh, that's a funny thing with Copycat. If it had Prankster, I probably would have used Copycat. Because there's something funny you can do with it. Something funny you can do with Prankster Copycat. There's Alligator, Lucario, Leafeon. We can technically get the fourth one now, but again, I'm saving that for backtracking. Two of them we don't get until... Jeez, much now. Because one of them is after the second gym at the earliest. And then one is like after Hardhome City. It's gonna be a trek and a half worth. Because as for the gyms themselves, yeah, to say that they're tougher is an understatement. Besides these folks, like even with the changes to most of the teams in this, they don't have like the DBs bumped up like the rest of the battles, like I cannot speak, like the important battles do, so they're still more or less a pushover. Still, it's different from vanilla. It is not the fucking Cancer Lock gym where it has a Geodude and a Saiyan Slash. That because we actually get to see the goddamn fossils. Oh my gosh, I just realized what it's doing. Flashing its eyes. I thought it was like when I thought it was blinking. I was like, that's a weird blink animation. No, it's just flashing its eyes. Unfortunately, to my recollection, we are gonna be just a bit over level. Since we're just using 2 Pokemon at the minute. Though even with us being over level, the only thing that's gonna make it easy is because we have Leafeon. That's pretty much it. And the thing that makes it all the more hilarious is that they gave the one physical attacking Grass Leaf evolution fucking 130 defense. It's like, what are you expecting us to use it defensively? You gave it 95 speed for fuck's sake. I mean, maybe they would. If they gave it some HP to back it up. But they didn't. Maybe they thought 60 HP was good enough. Also, this might be a problem. Nice. Okay, never mind. By the time you get to him, you're most likely gonna have something that deals with rock types. Yeah, the one type that leaves itself rooted into a lot of weaknesses. Besides bug and besides ice. Yeah, and they have an entire team on top of that. You know what makes this even funnier? Motherfucker has Sandstorm. And while we don't really have any special attacks that make use of that special defense, you know what does become a problem? The fact that this is the generation that introduced a buff to Sandstorm for rock types. You know, that 50% special defense buff that they had for every generation since 4. One thing that made Tyranitar as bulky as it is on the special side. Basically an Assault Vest before the Assault Vest item existed. And for the one Pokemon that sets it up. Meanwhile, Ice types had to wait until Generation 9 for their defensive buffs from snowing. Lord knows they keep making defensive Ice types. Really? No, there's no problem with making a defensive Ice type. We've only had Cloyster, technically Lapras if you want to count that. Regice, oh yeah, Articuno. Regice, Diagonal. I don't want to say Aurorus, that sounds wrong. Avalon, that's what I'm thinking of Gen 6, Avalon. And its Hisuian form, which gave it even worse typing on top of the ice. An Ice Rock type. Which, to be fair, is the same as Aurorus, but it didn't have as many... Oh, right, Activate Guts. Didn't have as many problems as Avalon. At least it could do something offensive. Someone for Gen 6? I don't... No, I'm pretty sure there wasn't. I don't want to say Ice Cube because it technically becomes like an offensive... a fast offensive Pokemon once it breaks the ice. But... it seems to be a disgusting trend of making defensive ice types. You know, for one of the worst types in the... one of the worst defensive types in the entire fucking game. I'm sure nothing will come of it, though. I mean, it's not like we see Articuno taking a... was it a national or international? It won a major tournament due to the buffs they gave to ice types. Meanwhile, we've had Zapdos, even Moltres getting like results prior to Articuno in Gen 9. It just said it had to take so many buffs before it would become a reality. You know what the sad thing is? Like, I get why they made it Bonsley instead of a Pseudo Widow. But it, well, no, it probably would have been a bit of an issue given that they even buffed Pseudo Widow in this hack. I was gonna say, imagine if they gave it Pseudo Widow instead of Bonsley. Now I understand why. Oh yes, the one move that pretty much made a lot of types significantly worse on the Switch. And despite that, Volcarona became as dangerous as it is in spite of its bug fire typing. Granted, that's due to one move, but it's astonishing. Also astonishing how much of an effect heavy-duty boots were. That's one way to deal with hazards, completely ignore them with an item.